Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and today I'm actually going to be covering a story that happened before the June 9th Nintendo Direct, but with that Direct, so much has come from it that I'm only now getting a chance to talk about what's been going on. And so what's been going on is that it's starting to look like Metroid Prime 5 may actually be in development already, and with big changes on the way. What's going on exactly? Well, that's what we're getting into today. So this part isn't the new info, but I think it's important to summarize this first so you understand what's kind of been going on and what people have been thinking. So we had this translated interview with Kensuke Tanabe, the Metroid Prime 4 producer, who's now retiring, but here it reads, "After that, a long time passed before I finally had the opportunity to make this game, Metroid Prime 4. Considering my age, I felt that making this Metroid Prime series might be the last chance. Therefore, I conceived and planned this project as the first installment of the Sylix saga." Keep in mind that there's a little bit of weird translation stuff, which is why the names look a little bit weird, but it is what they are. But the names I'm using are correct. "I portrayed Sylix as a villain with a dark personality, deep resentment, and despicable methods. And from this game onward, Samus will realize that a direct confrontation with him is inevitable, and he must be completely defeated. Therefore, the final battle between Sylix and Samus is not yet over. However, I took longer than I imagined to complete this game. Furthermore, I have confirmed that I will no longer be able to participate in the production of the series. Whether a sequel will be made is still uncertain, but I sincerely hope that one day, Miss Tabata and Retro Studios will be able to tell the story completely and bring it to a close." So there's several big takeaways from this. One, Kensuke Tanabe has written Sylix to be a character where Samus will be dueling against him for several games. Metroid Prime 4 has been designed as a beginning to a new series where Sylix is one of the main antagonists. And if you played through Metroid Prime 4, the way it ends is very cliffhanger-ish. They have several different Lamorn that at least left artifacts all throughout the universe or perhaps beyond, suggesting that there can be several games having to do with events surrounding the Lamorn. So considering the role of Sylix, the Lamorn, and the way the game ends, it's very clear that there's a lot more story to be told here. And so it can be argued that Tanabe is actually hinting at just this. And when I finished Metroid Prime 4, this was my strong belief that, yeah, they're setting things up for more. That was the clear intent with the story. However, Tanabe here also says that a sequel is still not certain, which some people took to mean that Metroid Prime 5 is not in development. However, Tanabe hopes that at one point it will be. And there's been some debate here. Some people will argue, well, of course, he's not going to confirm that Metroid Prime 5 is in development now, so he's going to say what he said in this interview. But other people take it to mean that, no, it's just not happening. So there's a little bit of a debate there. Now, we've had rumors from Nash Weedle that Metroid Prime 5 has been in development, and it was in development before Metroid Prime 4 even released, at least to some extent. And many people were skeptical of this. However, I will say, given what we've seen in Metroid Prime 4, it does look like Metroid Prime 4 was designed in a way with a Metroid Prime 5 in mind. Which brings us to some new evidence that's come to light thanks to Doctor81. His video and channel will be linked in the description below, but basically he discovered another one of those job listings, and essentially Retro Studios is looking to hire another environmental artist. And what's interesting here when looking through the description of duties, as Doctor81 highlights, they are looking to pick up talent to put together a game with a strong emphasis on environmental storytelling. And this is very interesting because it's very similar to prior job hiring posts for Retro Studios in development when they are working on Metroid Prime 4. And when you think about what Metroid Prime is, a huge aspect of these games is the environmental storytelling. So if Retro Studios is continuing to hire new talent, bringing them in to focus on environmental storytelling, then while it's not 100% confirmation that it is Metroid Prime 5, considering what I just mentioned to you, how they've already designed things in a way with Metroid Prime 4 to lead into Metroid Prime 5, it doesn't seem like that much of a stretch, and this seems to strengthen the notion. Also, by the way, the description of duties also mentions that this would be for an engine running on the Nintendo Switch 2, which I think would be obvious. By the time this game would come out, it would be years from now, and even by this point, if Metroid Prime 5 were to be announced, I think it would be fair to assume it would be a Switch 2 exclusive. And so, this brings us back to the rumor coming from Nash Weedle, who has said some things as of late that have been inaccurate. However, he has other things that have been proven to be accurate, such as the Ocarina of Time remake, such as what we've seen from Star Fox and the Nintendo Direct happening on June 9th. Now, reminder, just so you can keep it clear in your minds to take these things with a grain of salt, Nash Weedle was also talking about a Direct happening in the February or March period where you would see the next thing from Monolith Soft and the next 3D Mario. That did not happen. Now, the next thing from Monolith Soft was announced in the next big General Direct. That part was true, we just had to wait a few more months for that Direct, which happened on June 9th. And that's Xenoblade Genesis, which is great. But anyways, main point here, while Nash Weedle gets some things right, he doesn't get everything right. Take it with a grain of salt, don't fully buy into this rumor. But here he summarizes what he's talked about in regards to Metroid Prime 5. On May 26th, I received confirmation that it's still underway, and I mentioned it privately to colleagues. Okay, so right here, Nash is saying that even after the poor sales data, or lukewarm sales data of Metroid Prime 4, according to his own sources, they are still working on Metroid Prime 5. Continuing, some time ago I said that part of the development team had been carried out alongside Metroid Prime 4, but it seems they are going to make changes. And he also brings up how Dr.81 just discovered this hiring post about the environmental storytelling focus. But just looking at what was said here in Spanish, me acaban de reconfirmar Metroid Prime 5 y que van a hacer algunos cambios en cosas que ya tenían hechas. So, it's just something that wasn't really said in the tweet here, and that they want to make changes to things that have already been done. But then also here he says, tienen mucho hecho pero parece que quieren darle una vuelta a algunas cosas, which is just more of what I just said, that they've gotten a lot done, but they want to go back and make some changes here. And I think this is very interesting considering what happened with Metroid Prime 4. Perhaps it's not so much that Metroid Prime 5 is not going to happen due to the underwhelming sales we've seen of Metroid Prime 4 so far, but perhaps after receiving feedback and seeing how Metroid Prime 4 was received, both critically and just from fans overall, including sales, they've taken the notes and they are making some changes and adjusting the direction of Metroid Prime 5. That's what the rumor is here from Nash Weedle. I consider that, and I consider the failings of Metroid Prime 4, while yes, I find it to be an enjoyable game, there are certainly things that could have been done that would make it a better experience. Dialing back on the tutorial system, having more of an interwoven world that feels a bit more like a maze, and make it feel less linear. Perhaps Retro Studios here, with Ms. Tabata now producing and leading the charge, the Metroid Prime series will take a new direction here where they improve upon Metroid Prime 4 and bring the series back to the higher levels of critical acclaim it once had, but hopefully also establish a new audience that's stronger and bigger than ever before. So fingers crossed this is all actually meaning something here, and the Retro Studios is truly working on Metroid Prime 5, and it comes out in a reasonable, healthy amount of time. I'm not saying it should come out immediately, I'm not saying they should rush it out, but hopefully we see it in the thick of this Switch 2 generation, perhaps 2 to 3 years from now. But what do you all think? Let me know in the comments below. This is AndresRestart, thank you so much for listening and watching, and I will see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.